Yeah, what is up? What is up? What is up? What is up? Once again, it is your man Jelani JB Bodie, host of this thing called the Wait a Minute Show. It's a sports show, ladies and gentlemen, among other things, which who knows what we'll be talking about. One thing we will not be talking about today. One, I'm not qualified to talk about it because I haven't been following it like I would need to be. There will be no Diddy up in here today, but some things changes. You never know down the road. But until then, I'm here now. Again, Jelani JB Bodie, and I got my man Mo running in the background. Mo, how you doing today, brother?
What's up, JB?
I'm good. I'm good.
You can't say nothing like that. It just catch me, just blindside me like that. But no, we are not qualified. Therefore, we would not discuss. What's up, man?
I'm good, man. Look, we got playoffs. We're getting closer and closer. Where now it's really for all the marbles. It's summertime almost, so it's gonna be some outside activities, and I'm pumped up, man. My kid is finishing up school, moving on to middle school.
Oh, man, congrats.
Next round. So I'm trying to get used to that, man. To be a father of a middle schooler. I don't know if I'm ready yet.
You ready? I did it twice. There's no handbook for that. You ready? You'll be all right.
Yeah,
you got 3 elements. You get through this.
Yeah, these kids crazy these days.
Just eat right and exercise, man. You're gonna need all that energy. I promise you that. From experience, JB, I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. Yeah, I'm gonna eat my Wheaties and get my sleep. So
there you go.
And get ready for middle school. That's crazy. I'm getting ready for middle school, but yeah, that's all that's going on, man. That's it. So, but I ain't gonna hold everybody. We're gonna get into what we're gonna be talking about today. But before we do that, make sure if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you turn on those notifications and make sure you tell somebody and make sure they tell somebody and they tell somebody and they tell somebody. The more people we get, the better this thing is. But other than that, let's move into the first topic, which I just said earlier. It was playoffs, right? So the playoffs have began, and we're getting closer and closer to the NBA Finals. So we know who's going to be in the Eastern Conference and Western Conference Finals. We got Indiana against the New York Knicks, son. How crazy is that? This is bananas, Mo, because I mean, Knick fans in the first round against my Pistons, they were acting like they won the championship. Second round, this was even worse. This is going to be diabolical coming up with this Eastern Conference. But I love the matchup because I've said it before. Even my guy Fish, he was talking about it when you and him was chopping it up about the Eastern Conference. The Knicks being in the playoffs or the Knicks being in the mix is always better for basketball. So them being in the Eastern Conference, this is going to be a great matchup going against the Indiana Pacers. I think this will probably be the toughest matchup that the Knicks face because one, Tyrese Halliburton, man, he has been balling out and he has been clutch. And I think we're going to have a matchup for the ages of Mr. Clutch, Jalen Brunson against Clutch, overrated Tyrese Halliburton, as people would say, he's the most overrated person, which I think that's just crazy. But not to be outdid on the Western Conference, there's a guy called Ant-Man out there that got something to say in Minnesota, and they're going to be taking on the Thunder, who just dismantled the Denver Nuggets in Game 7 to get themselves in this spot. So another matchup that I think everyone should be watching. Look, I did pick the Nuggets because I stuck with the Nuggets as my early pick, so I had to stick with them. But obviously, you saw what OKC did, so you got to give them props. And this is not a bad matchup either, and none of them are. All these young guns, that's out there. SGA, you got Tyrese Halliburton, Jalen Brunson, and Ant-Man leading all of these crews. So we got a great Western Conference. We got a great Eastern Conference Finals as well. So I'm going to be intrigued with both of these matchups because I guess I gotta make a pick, right, Mo? I guess I gotta make a pick before everything starts because Tuesday is Game 1 with Minnesota and OKC. So I gotta make a pick. Um, do you already have a pick? You already know, who
Who
you
gonna be?
got
Who
on
gonna
both
be?
sides?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Is it
yeah.
easy?
I,
Was
I
it
don't need.
easy?
It is now after
Okay.
watching these past few rounds for me. For me.
Okay.
And but you go ahead.
All right. Here's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna start with the Western Conference. I'm gonna say OKC, man. I'm gonna stick with that. And no slight to Minnesota. I think them getting Hartenstein and actually having Chet back for, playing the whole regular season. I think he was injured a little bit, getting into the season, and them being a young team and going through that maturity or maturing stage. I think that, they probably have accomplished that along with a mixture of some vets like, Caruso. Now, don't get me wrong, Minnesota, they got some dogs on that team, especially picking
Hmm.
up DiVincenzo and Julius Randle has definitely helped out, with that group. So I'm not saying that this is just going to be an easy. I really think this is going to be another 7-game series, but I'm going to take OKC in
Okay.
that one. On the East, or if you want to pick your West, I can wait to announce my East.
I got Minnesota. I
You
got
got
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
I
Okay.
got Minnesota because I feel like that's you never know how that team is going to beat you. I think
True.
that's the most difficult team to plan for. You never know what's going to happen with them. And I feel like pound for pound, they almost just as good as far as top to bottom with the roster as OKC. But the fact that they throw that curveball at you, then that's a dangerous team. That's a dangerous team. So
They are.
I got
They are.
Minnesota.
Minnesota. All right. I got OKC. We're gonna see what happens on that. On the
Hmm.
East side, uh, I'm just gonna say I'm going with the Pacers. Going with the Pacers, bro. Um,
Why?
you said wow?
I said why?
Why? Why? Tyrese Halliburton. That's to me, I think he's going to be the difference maker. What I was saying earlier, as far as like clutch versus, clutch overrated or whatever. Of course, that's a joke, about the overrated. When they have needed something, time in and time out, Tyrese Halliburton has been able to do that. We saw what he did against Cleveland. Who did they play in the first round? I forgot who it was. Was it Milwaukee? Yeah, with
Yeah.
Milwaukee with that whole 8 second. What was it? 8 points in overtime where
Hmm.
they came back. Tyrese Halliburton was the catalyst for that. And I'm saying the Knicks haven't played someone like that on a team. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying anything bad about Tatum or Brown or any of my Pistons, that the Knicks have taken on. They just haven't seen a guy like that. And I just think he's going to be the difference maker, in that matchup. And
Okay.
I don't see if Indiana gets up by 20, them blowing, that stuff got to end at some
No,
point.
that's not gonna
Remember,
happen.
remember, my Pistons, we blew a 21-point lead in the fourth quarter in that first series, and then Boston blew two 20-point leads. And I just don't think
Hmm.
that's going to just continue as you get closer and closer to the finals. Guys get bought in, guys get more serious, guys are they're like, look, we've been playing for over a month now. I ain't ready to go home. It's going to be a great matchup because
Yeah.
Madison Square Garden and all that stuff. But I think Tyrese Halliburton will be the difference maker in that. Him and Jalen going back and forth. I can't wait to see it. You already know.
It's gonna
Jalen
be
Brunson is one of my favorite players to
yeah.
watch.
That's gonna be crazy. I think what I love about this matchup. Number one, there's never been a star player more disrespected than Halliburton. When you
Yes,
got your peers calling you overrated, you will find yourself in the conference finals. That's enough motivation right there.
and he was
So,
on the Olympic team.
right, exactly. Exactly. Regardless of, what happened while he was on that team. But yeah. So
Yeah,
it's easy for me to say Indiana because I believe that they're the better team. I believe they have the best player that will be on the floor at that time. But I'm going with New York. I'm
New
going with New
York,
York.
son.
I'm going with New York because I refuse to believe that the NBA will rob me of the most anticipated post game conference with Karl Anthony Towns. His celebration is going to be, I'm going to stop right there.
Stop
So
right there.
I'm picking New York, man, because I got to see it. They won't do me like that. They won't rob me of that. So
And your pick. I was talking with a friend about this, and they asked me what the finals was going to look like before we had even got to this part.
yeah,
And I said, if it's the NBA, they want Minnesota and New York.
yeah. Okay,
That's a
agree.
storyline that they can sell.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, I think it's going to be OKC in
it's gonna be a
Indiana.
trip. You know what's
But
funny
I
though?
like all the matchups are going to both of the matchups are going to be great. I hope they all go 7 games. I
Yeah.
hope they all go 7 games because
What's
everybody
crazy
deserves to
is
win, but only one can win.
we guaranteed. I think this is the 8th year now, 7th or 8th year. We are guaranteed to see a new NBA champion
Yeah,
again.
that's
You know what I'm
also
saying? There
good.
hadn't been a back to back or a repeat in 7 8 years, man. So yeah,
Like it.
I think
All
that's
right.
crazy.
Yeah. Speaking of crazy, I don't think it's crazy. Mo don't think it's crazy, but somebody got their money. Brock Purdy, Mister. I ain't even gonna call him that no more because he ain't because it's Mister Money right now. Signed his deal, $265 million, American dollars, that is, with 181 guaranteed. So Brock got his money, right? We knew he was going to get paid. I know Mo's going to have, something to say because this is his team with it. We both agree that Brock has earned this money. I think the biggest thing now is that will Brock be able to handle the pressure that comes along with it? It's a little bit different. This is my thought, Mo, but you tell me. This is my thought on it is that the San Francisco 49ers, they invested this money into him. I don't care if it's really a 1 year, a 2 year, a three. I don't care what it is. The man has allocated some of the cap space that they had to go to get other players. So now that you got that, my fear is that if something goes wrong or they go through a little stretch, he's going to get the same treatment that they give to all the other quarterbacks. Well, he's making $53 million. I don't know
Nah,
what that's going to look like for Brock.
I know. I see the opposite. I think now
Mm.
Brock can relax. You came in the
Really?
league as Mr. Irrelevant, right? You've proven yourself. You've gone to a Super Bowl, you've gone to conference championship games. And come on, let's be honest. I mean, you pretty much saved Kyle Shanahan and Lynch's job when they went out there and they drafted Trey Lance, and you had to come in there and clean that mess up. Now you
Yeah,
got
yeah,
paid. You went out there and you did what you had to do. You worked, you earned the money. You earned the
yeah,
check.
yeah,
Now,
yeah.
now you can be Brock Purdy. Now you can be Brock Purdy. I don't think you've dealt with the pressure already. The pressure
Mm-mm.
of proving everybody wrong. I mean, come
No,
on, man. It's
not this
California,
pressure.
man.
Not this pressure. He finna get the Willie Beeman pressure. He finna get the
And
Willie
I think he'll
Beeman
be
pressure,
fine.
bro.
And I think he'll be fine.
No,
I think
what?
he'll be
And
just fine with that.
I'm hoping Brock is. I'm rooting for him. I've rooted for him from year one. And I'm glad he got his money. I'm just talking about the reality of it. Is once when you get that money, here's the thing. There is because you've been to your point, you've already been to the Super Bowl. You've already been
Yeah.
to two NFC championship games, conference championship games. So at this point, it's not the process. It's not to say, all right, he's going to get better and better. This year, it's Super Bowl. That's it. It's Super Bowl. And if you do not, they're going to look at Brock. They're going to point the finger at Brock.
Ooh,
If he doesn't play well, regardless, I
I
mean,
disagree. I disagree completely.
it's a lot of factors that go into, someone playing well and not playing well. I'm just saying, I I've never put Brock Purdy in the elite category because you already know I've
Nah.
said it's really only 3 or 4 guys in the entire league that I'm going to put in the elite category because I look at it as elite is no matter what you got on your team, I'm going to get you a W. I can't say Brock is that. Brock balls, don't get me wrong. Brock plays well in the system. He does what he needs to do. He's accurate, he's efficient, all that good stuff.
And
So
well,
I'm
I
not
mean,
I'm,
and
I'm not
I
slamming him. I don't want anybody thinking I'm picking on him or anything like that. I'm just saying,
you kind
as
of are.
far as like the nucleus of most quarterbacks, if it start going wrong, that pressure is going to be different because of the money. That's what I'm saying.
I'm gonna
I,
tell
I
you,
hope he ball.
I,
I just don't hope. I just don't
if the
hope it
money
come at our cost.
if the money is bringing the pressure, then he's not the quarterback that I thought he was. You've already played on the biggest stage. You've played in these big games, Super Bowl, the conference championship game. The stage don't get much bigger than that. And you played well, right? And last year, you got a little taste of what it feels like to play without a lot of your safety net. Because you got a lot of players that went down last year. I mean, listen, come on, man. You know pressure. You know pressure. So I don't
So
think
so I'll
so
ask you
what
this, Mo. I'll
okay.
ask you this. Let's just say he doesn't have that safety net again this year.
He's not gonna
Things
have
happen.
it.
Well, I'm just saying things just happen, right? And they finished what did y'all won what 7 games, I think, last year?
Last year,
Last
yeah,
season?
maybe 6 or 7. Yeah,
You win 7 games again this year. If that happens, I don't think people are going to unless it's just like they out there Brock get out there getting killed and he's running for his life or something like that, because sometime he was. But I just think the pressure is going to be different, and people aren't going to, look at it, the same way. They're not going to give him, I'm not going to use the P word. I'm not going to say a pass or anything like that. But I just think that that money just brings additional pressure. I hope he does well. I'm not rooting against him. I'm rooting for him.
yeah. Brock Purdy, this what you do, man. You take some of that money, you go buy, you make sure that get you a good trainer. Get you, a good chef to give you a good diet. That'll take some of that pressure
You
away.
know, you
Get you
know
a
what
nice
Brock
house
needs to
like
do?
nice company. Let me tell you something, man.
You
Right
know what Brock
now,
needs to do?
what do you need to do?
He need to get his own place. I think he was still living with somebody. So I'm hoping he getting
Yeah,
his own place.
and whoever you were staying with, get them a better place.
No,
But
no, no, Brock, don't.
Brock,
No.
listen,
You go,
listen.
Brock, you get yourself an apartment and you keep all that money, bro. You keep that money.
Hey,
Live
I don't
off
think
those
that
endorsement
I
deals.
don't see that being a problem. Listen, the strength of schedule, and we're gonna talk about this in a minute. Well, we already
Yeah.
talked about the schedule, but the schedule is set up for them to, in my opinion, just looking at it, I see 11 wins. That's me being, that's me being hard on the team. I see
Okay.
11 wins. So you're already gonna have an improvement. And I think that's gonna help him really settle in without having to, go through some of that in the trenches type of games that will really expose him not having that safety net. And then get his feet on him a little bit more, man. You got the money now.
Hmm.
You've proven yourself. You really ain't got much else to prove. It's all about what you want now, what you really desire. And everybody know it's the ring. And Mr.
Okay.
Irrelevant with a Super Bowl ring. Come on, man.
That would be a
Imagine
great
that.
story. I just hope it ain't again
Imagine that.
at the cost of my Lions. That's all.
It probably will be.
Nah, let's not do
We'll see
that.
y'all again because I ain't like what happened.
Well, speaking of the schedule, because Mo has already given the 49ers 11 wins. Last week, the NFL schedule release came out. And there's always a bunch of, um, excitement. Everybody's pumped up. Now everybody start making their plans, because what team is playing what week and all that stuff. If I'm gonna go on the road, blah, 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 and all that stuff. So first thing I'm gonna say, Mo, is that I'm tired of these leaks that keep happening. These leaks of the schedule. But by the time we get to the schedule release show or whatever, I know half the schedule anyway. Stop that, people. Jeez. I mean, look, back in the day, anticipation was great. We loved it in our era. I know Mo know what I'm talking about, but I digress. Let me move on from that. But the schedule is out, and some and look, there are some really good games, and I mean, my Lions, these some games, just repeat games though. They got KC, Philly, Baltimore. I think they play, Buffalo, as well. They've played those teams, so obviously those are going to be, great, great games and everything. What I really want to focus on, because I mean, like the Ravens, they play Buffalo, Cincinnati, Green Bay, the Bears are getting, games, but uh I really want to focus on some games, Mo, and you tell me what you think here, that I think will be interesting games by the time we get to them. Because right now it's easy to be like, oh, Chiefs versus the Eagles in a Super Bowl rematch. Yeah, of course. All of us going to be excited about that. But I think these 3 games, we might be talking about them and pumped up. So I got some games for me because and your team is on here. I saved them for last though. But Vikings versus Chargers on a Thursday night, week 8. And the reason I say that is that we will really find out what JJ McCarthy is by that time. And if Kevin O'Connell is is actually the QB whisperer. Because uh Justin Herbert and them boys, they're gonna be throwing the rock all over the place and everything. So you got Justin Jefferson, you got a lot of time, Lat McConkey, you got a lot of stuff, offensive firepower and all that stuff in there. So that's a game that I'm going to be looking forward to because I think that week 8, by the time we get to week 8, Minnesota, JJ McCarthy probably will be making some noise. Your thoughts? Up or down? Just give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. What you think, bro? Thumbs up. I like it. I like it. Number 2. I'm in here in the Lions Den studios, and this is, broadcasted from the ATL. So I'm going to throw the Falcons in here in a Monday night matchup here in the ATL, where it's going to be blistering hot against the Buffalo Bills. Week 6, Monday night. I really think because we saw at the end of the season where Penix, you kind of got a little bit of what people were expecting Penix to be. But now that he's the guy and he's taking every snap and all that stuff, and he don't like running. He loves sitting in the pocket and letting that thing rip.
Mm-hmm.
And with the offensive firepower that the Falcons got, along with some of these defensive draft picks that they think, I think that's going to be a game that we're going to be excited to because, you don't have to say anything about the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen's going to be there. So you already know it's going to be pumped up on that side. And it's going to be crazy here in Atlanta because every fan from Buffalo is probably going to be down here. So that Bills, Falcons, what you think?
I can circle that one. Just because I had my mic muted the last for the last matchup. Let me go back real quick and remind you what I was trying to say, that Minnesota is going to be a slaughter. But go ahead. I don't want to back.
Like
go
they're
ahead.
going to slaughter the Chargers?
The Chargers are going to beat the brakes off of them.
Oh, okay.
Anticipated. Okay. Yeah, I do like the matchup though, but I can see that going left real quick, real early in the game too.
Okay. My last one. Okay.
I know where you're going with this one.
You do?
I think so. Go ahead.
You want to tell me which game, or you want me just to say?
I think you got our week 5 matchup.
Nah.
Okay. All right. Well, go ahead.
Who's week 5?
Week 5 is the divisional game. We got the Rams.
The Rams. Now, what? Because the only reason I don't have that because it's divisional, and y'all been going back and forth. So I'm like, I already put I already put that down as that's a game to watch.
That's going to be our first loss.
That's going to be a good
week
game.
5.
That's going to be a good game. Oh, speaking of that,
okay.
I heard. Okay. I gotta say it because you almost shut my show down last year because I said the Rams was going to win the division. I gave all these reasons, and you said I was just disrespectful.
That was for last season. This is a new season.
I know it's a new season, but I'm just saying I never got to say it, so I'm just going back, in the past for a second because you gave me a hard time, Mo. You gave me you really, you were just like
no. I'm gonna tell you why. Because you don't get to say it. I can say it, but you don't get to say it. Go ahead.
Okay. My third matchup, because this one right here, somebody knows something that we don't know, Mo.
Okay.
All right. Week 12, Monday night. Panthers versus 49ers. Come on, bro. Something's going on. Somebody believe in Bryce Young, and you can't convince me otherwise. This brother and this team got a Monday night game against the 49ers, week 12. We're not talking about week 1, week 2. We're talking about when we get into the depths of the season, and a lot of stuff is going to matter. So they're telling me Bryce is going to do something. And he did. He finished the season playing better than he did starting the season.
That's going
So
to be a team to watch out for this year.
yeah,
Believe me on that. That's going to be a team to watch out. I like that one. I like that one, JB. Where is that game being played?
that is in San Fran.
Okay, I'm not going to make it. But yeah, that's a game to circle on your calendar. I'll be watching.
Yes,
Best seat in the
week
house.
12. So we know
Man,
about all the
okay.
games, yeah, but these are the games I think that by the time we get to them, we're gonna be, amped up, for these games as well.
I
I
like it,
think,
JB.
Chiefs and Eagles is easy to pick. Let's this
Right.
Panthers 49ers, that's tough. That's tough to pick now. But those are mine. So let's end this thing. I've been mentioning the Bears, and I'm gonna go back to the Bears and one Caleb Williams. So I've been saving this to talk about. All I told Mo was that I sent him the story about Caleb wanting to avoid the Bears and everything, and how all that transpired, and all that stuff. So good article that was put out there, basically explaining that Caleb really wasn't feeling the Bears, totally and everything. But the Bears was like, all right, we're gonna draft you, anyway. No, we don't care, how you feel, right? Now I'm gonna go to the side for a real quick second, and then I'm gonna come back. That's what I was talking about a few weeks back. If you didn't check out that episode when I was talking about Shedeur and all this stuff, when I was saying other players like Eli Manning and some others have not wanted to play for teams, and teams was like, we don't care. You're talented enough. We're still going to take you. So that's why I was like that Cleveland stuff, and then all the other teams letting Shedeur drop and everything. That's why I just didn't believe, in that. It wasn't nothing about his talent and everything. That was more personal. But I'm off that. Let me go back to Caleb here, Mo. And the reason I'm bringing up Caleb is because Caleb, we already know he's not the only person, but I believe that there's even more. So check this, Mo. How you feel about this one? Tell me what you think about this. I know it won't happen, definitely not anytime soon, but I just think it is something that needs to be pointed out. Is that, Mo, think about this. You have a dream of what you want to do. From childhood, you work on that dream. You go to college, put yourself in a position after you come out of college to be one of the best potential in whatever it is that you do.
Okay.
But you don't get a chance to choose where you work. And you come out and you're working for some trash, as Bubba Dub would say. Let me say how Bubba Dub said, trash
All right.
company, and you can't do nothing about it. That's what I'm getting at about these players. We shouldn't, when you hear a player like Shedeur or Caleb or Eli Manning, I didn't have a problem with Eli even saying this about who they want to play for. If you have the leverage, that's the thing. You got to have the leverage. If you have the leverage, John Elway did it years ago, decades ago. If you have the leverage, I don't see the problem in that, or I don't have because they try and crucify these guys, or they try and make them to be out the bad guy and everything. And I'm like, no, if you're a trash organization year in and year out, you shouldn't be rewarded with the top tier talent every single time. And then you just don't get it right. And then you just get to keep retreading the tires or whatever, or take the next, talent, ruin that person. We've seen that organizations take top tier talent and ruin them. And then everybody, oh, he's a bust. He's that. But nobody talks about the organization and the trashness that has happened, with them. Am I tripping, Mo? Am I tripping?
No, you're not. You're not tripping. You're not tripping because, I mean, the difference between regular folk like myself and Caleb Williams, when they get done, they got to enter the draft. When I get done doing what I got to do to get tools under my belt, I go apply. I'm not finna go to this company if I feel like this is not a company that I feel like I can really, flourish.
Exactly.
So we get to pick and choose. The same reason why I didn't have a problem with LeBron and what he did. Same reason why I didn't have a problem with when Eli did it. He didn't want to go to San Diego for whatever reason. Beautiful place, but he wanted to play for New York.
Hey,
I'm
pool
not
emoji.
sure if he had, huh?
They're pool emoji.
Yeah, but I mean, at the time, they were a decent team. But we're not gonna get into all of that. My point is this: did Eli really have the leverage at that time as a player on his own merit?
Yes.
Okay, because those
I
Ole Miss
I
days were a
I
long time ago, and
I
I
I
never.
I believe it because because Eli didn't have at that time, Eli didn't have a Ryan Leaf. Um, and what I mean by that, Ben Roethlisberger was in that draft with Eli,
Right.
but what I mean by that, and who else was in there? Because was it Phillip Rivers?
Phillip Rivers, yeah, because he ended up going
Yeah,
to San
they got
Diego.
yeah, they got traded for each other. So what I mean by that is that people liked Phillip Rivers, people liked Ben Roethlisberger, but there was really only one clear-cut quarterback. There was nobody to challenge him. Remember when
Hmm.
Peyton came out, although we found out later, it was Peyton, they were like, "Yo, if you don't take Ryan Leaf, you're making a mistake." Like they were
Hmm.
like this, remember? So
Right.
that's what I'm saying. Eli didn't have that. Eli was the man. He was the best thing coming out, so he had the leverage. So yeah,
Yeah, I don't.
and and
Either way, I still didn't have a problem with it. I mean, because
yeah,
you want to be able to control your future. How many times you see a quarterback that this kid is talented, he got it, end up in a terrible situation, and you never really get to see that full potential. It's probably more times you don't realize it because you don't get to
yeah.
see it. It never happens for them. So,
And I
we
just
hold these players accountable. Start holding these organizations more accountable. Y'all got
that's
to get
exactly
better,
where I'm
man.
going. That's exactly where I'm going. And I use my own team right behind me. I never fought it. You
Great
you heard
example.
me. Huh?
Great example. Go ahead.
You didn't have to agree that much with
That's
me,
okay.
but
I'm
but
passionate
I
about this
use my
thing.
team. Yes, poorly ran organizations or whatever, like you don't get free agents, you don't get this, and then you get these draft picks and you see what happened. But then when you run the organization right, now you see right now my team is totally different. So it's like you that organization is just as important as the player. And just like you said, yeah, we need to start holding these organizations more accountable because it's like, wait a minute. So you're gonna the show. You're gonna say every time, this team over here, I'll use your team, the 49ers, they always go on some type of run and be relevant. The Cowboys, even though they haven't won the Super Bowl, they get to the playoffs and everything. They have a run of relevance. You see what KC has done. You see what Pittsburgh has done. You have these organizations, Philadelphia, and decade in, decade out, they have some type of run that they go on. And then you'll have somebody like the Raiders, somebody like the Chargers, and before it was my Lions, you know, and it's just like, bro, y'all picking first every year. Who
Hmm.
fault is that? You can't tell me all the guys are trash.
Right.
So I just think, yeah, they're not going to change it to let someone pick where they want to go. They definitely not going to do that. But I'm just saying, like you said, we need to start holding these organizations a little bit more accountable. And if something go bad, point it out with the
Exactly.
organization, a lot more.
Exactly. I agree. I agree.
So I don't fault Caleb, one bit if he was trying to negotiate, somewhere else and everything. Sometimes it does work out. We've seen cases where guys didn't want to go somewhere and then it worked out. I'm around St. Brown. He got mad when the Detroit drafted him, but now he's good. Sometimes it does work out like that, but not always. So we need to just be fair about it. So what's fair also is that you're following the show. So again, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But I'm gonna get out of here. Me and Mo, we're not gonna be here for Memorial Day, but to all the people that's out there for Memorial Day, sacrifices and everything, we appreciate it. We'll holler at y'all next time, and we'll be deep. We're maybe close to the Eastern Conference final. I mean, the actual finals by that point. But take a break, everybody. We're gonna take a break, and then we'll come back. Keep hitting you with the hotness. So for your man, Jelani JB Bodie, host of this thing called the Wait a Minute Show. Two things as always: stay positive, push forward. I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.